a riddle you might find in the congressional Passover Haggadah. What makes this trillion-dollar spending bill, different than all other trillion-dollar spending bills? The answer? The most interesting conflict isn't between Democrats and Republicans. It's between Democrats and the White House. President Obama and Vice President Biden have been calling House Democrats this afternoon to vote for the so-called Cromnibus. John Boehner thinks everyone should vote for it. It's Nancy Pelosi who doesn't like it. Here's how all sides frame their arguments today.
If we don't get finished today, we're going to be here until Christmas. You all know how this process works. And let me just tell you all something else. There's not one of you in this room that doesn't understand that this is exactly the way I don't want to do business. I want to do 12 appropriation bills. I want to do them one at a time, and I want to do them before October 1st. But when the Senate does nothing, they put us in this box, and here we are.
It provides the kind of certainty that's important to our economy. And that is among the reasons why the President supports the passage of this compromise proposal and would sign it if it arrives on his desk.
This is a moral hazard. We're being asked to vote for a moral hazard. And I'm enormously disappointed that the White House feels that the only way they can get a bill is to go along with this, and that would be the only reason I think they would say they would sign such a bill that would weaken a critical component of financial system reform.
So, Mark, House Democratic Caucus meeting, 5:30 p.m. The whole thing could be figured out in that meeting. But my question for you at this hour, at this minute, is whether President Obama's endorsement of this bill today has backfired.
Well, I think so far it did. There was a procedural vote earlier today. It barely passed with no Democratic support. When the president endorses something, I think it locks in a lot of House Republicans. They don't want to vote for it. You've got Elizabeth Warren and Nancy Pelosi saying they don't like this package. Democrats shouldn't vote for it. The president now is basically whipping the vote for John Boehner because John Boehner needs some unspecified number of Democratic votes. The president's now trying to convince Democrats to go against House Democrats to go against Nancy Pelosi. They would have, I think, maybe been better off being a little more ambiguous about it from this building today.
I just got to say, I'm not sure that John Boehner lost any votes today because of this. The votes that he's lost today were unlikely to vote for this thing anyway. And I got to say, on the merits, I mean, whatever you think about the president's role, on the merits, I think Nancy Pelosi has a very strong case. Some of the things that have been inserted into this bill, particularly the questions on the gutting of Dodd-Frank with this one provision, is something that I think House Democrats are right, both as a matter of strategy, tactics, and substance, to be against and not allowing to get into this bill. It's crazy.
It appears to me that they went in. Both sides went in today thinking Boehner was going to find the votes to do it. And I think under normal circumstances, the Speaker, with a bigger majority coming in, I think could have found the votes. But I think the president, he may not have moved any House Republicans from yes to no, but I think he froze the pool of available House Republicans who might have been convinced to have their arm twisted by the Speaker to vote for it. Now, the whole thing's up in the air. They might have a vote to extend this for a week. They've got to, or the government's going to shut down. The government's federal agencies are being warned. Maybe there is going to be a shutdown.
Don't you think the game that's getting played here is that the president gets to look bipartisan, look like he's not going to make the perfect the enemy of the good? Yeah. Well, Nancy Pelosi, if she can get a week extension, she might be able to get these provisions stripped out in the next week. If there's bipartisan support, as it suggests in the Senate with this letter from Vitter and I forget who now, Sherrod Brown, on the banking stuff, they might be able to actually fix this bill in the next week and get a better bill out of it.
The House Republican support would collapse if that happened, and they'd be starting from scratch.